Hello, it's Book Quote Wednesday and the word is blue. And today I am reading from my young adult fantasy, The Teen, the Thief and the Witch. Got all the title in yet? Yep. My teen protagonist, Ted, who doesn't yet know that he's a teen hero, is spending the night at the hospice where his younger brother, Robert, has been catatonic for the last 4 years. Ted works in a bookshop, and on his first day at work he was terrified by an apparition of the witch of the title in Salisbury's Old George Mall. And many years ago, though only the reader knows this and Ted doesn't, his employer at the bookshop was damaged and traumatised by a very similar apparition, and he is now in a group of adults who have all had similar experiences. And these three things are all about to come together. The curtains were drawn and Robert's room was dim, but the dying sunset through the fabric and the light from Ted's laptop meant he could see perfectly well. He could easily make out the form of Robert in his bed, tossing and turning under his sedation. They had doped Robert up before he arrived, but still something was going on in his brother's head. Dr. James had given him a light supper in the canteen, then brought him up to the room. "You know where the alarm cord is? Right here?" Then she had left them alone. The staff had made up a camp bed for him, and he sat there, cross-legged, with his laptop, wearing just his bedtime boxers. The room was too warm and stuffy for anything else. He yawned and checked the time. It was still stupidly early. Normally at this time of the evening he should be hanging with Stephen or watching a movie. St. Ozzy's puny wireless internet couldn't cope with downloading something good, not if Ted wanted to watch it tonight. Porn would just be rank, with Robert a couple of metres away, and not even a curtain between them. So he had chosen a small pile of the least anodyne offerings from the hospice's DVD library. Maybe it was time to stick one of them in the laptop and waste brain cells. He had done a little work on the stupid interface, but had got as far as he could without talking to Stephen, and Stephen was obviously in uber creative mode because he wasn't answering messages. But Ted thought he could do some more Agora work and impress Malcolm with his productivity. So he opened up the shop's inbox, though even that simple operation made the internet connection think a bit. And then the mouse pointer changed to a spinning hourglass. "Oh no," Ted groaned. Unless he mistook the symptoms, Dennis K. Dempster had suffered another outbreak of helpfulness and was sharing it with the book club. A blue bar started to creep slowly across the screen, indicating how much of the file was still to download. When it hadn't budged very far after a minute, Ted got up and went over to sit on his brother's bed. "Oh, mate," he took Robert's hand. "What's the problem? What is it?" Robert whimpered. His breath came out in huffs and puffs, and his head trembled from side to side on his pillow. Didn't this show there was still something inside Robert? How could he be afraid of something if there was nothing in there to feel it? Ted had tried that line of logic on Dr. James more than once, but he could tell from her answers that she didn't know. All she did know was that Robert consistently failed every single test designed to show some kind of consciousness inside his head. And then this would happen. Times like this were the closest Ted came to believing in demons. He could imagine supernatural entities roaming Salisbury and looking for a nice, warm, empty space to play in. "Here's one. This boy's head. Let's have our party here." It made as much sense as anything else since that day. Something had caused this. That day, he and Robert and Sarah had walked back from school together, as usual. Ted was entrusted with picking up his younger sibs from their primary school and escorting them back home. Sarah had gone off to do her girl stuff. Ted and Robert had kicked a ball around in the garden. Then their mum had given them a 5-minute warning for tea, so they had gone upstairs to get out of their school clothes and wash hands. They had gone into their separate rooms, and that was the last time anyone had seen Robert normal. Their mum had called them down. Sarah had gone skipping past his door for the stairs, and Ted had gone down after, expecting Robert to follow. He never had. And when Barry finally lost patience and went upstairs to see what was keeping him, Robert was like this. "Just get better, right?" Ted pleaded. He squeezed Robert's hand. "You're so missing out. You're 13 now. It's so much better than being 9. He thought for a moment. Okay, there's also zits, and you keep growing out of your clothes, and Barry will want to give you the talk, but don't worry, because I'll give you the Andy talk to set you straight again. But there's girls. I mean, mate, when you were 9, you thought girls were just pests, but trust me, you have no idea. It's so great when it hits you, but you'll never know if you don't get better. Ted trailed off without hope. Arse, he murmured. Nothing was going to happen. He yawned and shuffled back to the laptop. The download had finished, and he hadn't been wrong about the source. Dear Malcolm, Diana and Louise, as you know, Jane is quite an accomplished artist, and she drew the enclosed of our little group's mutual acquaintance. We both agree it would look excellent on the website and should certainly garner attention from any similarly experienced individuals who come across it. Sincerely, Dennis K. Dempster. That's a picture? Ted murmured in disbelief. It was several megabytes large for a start. Dennis didn't know how to change the settings on a scanner to get something small and manageable. And it was a document. Dennis was one of those people who thought he was being helpful sending a picture embedded rather than just the raw file. Ted would have to open it up, extract the picture, and boil it down to something more web-suitable. The picture was so big that all Ted could see on screen was a mass of swirling pencil lines. He zoomed it down to something that would fit on screen, and almost fell off the bed. Whoa! 2 monochrome eyes glared hate back at him. The artist, Jane, had shaded the whole sheet very lightly with grey pencil, then shaded again with something darker. There was no clear form, it simply emerged from the darker tint, but the overall effect was a face, and Ted recognized it. It wasn't quite the woman Ted had seen in the Mall. For a start, he was pretty sure it was a man, but he could easily be the woman's brother. The face was half hidden in the shadow of a high collar patterned with strange symbols, and the same pointed fringe of a V-shaped haircut hung down between blazing eyes. So Ted and Malcolm and the book club all hallucinated the same kind of people. That's just impossible, he mumbled through another yawn. Impossible, but also exciting. There had to be something in this. He was going to tell Stephen about it. He had to tell someone. Tomorrow. Stephen would bring his sceptical, rational mind to bear on the problem, and together they would work it out. Another yawn, and Ted felt his limbs grow heavy. Wasn't there enough oxygen in the room or something? He pushed himself up off the bed to check the window, and staggered when a wave of fatigue swept over him. He stumbled to the curtains, pulled them back. The top half of the window was open, and there was a gentle breeze, cool in the summer evening. Ted took several deep breaths, but felt his eyes grow heavy. Robes fluttered in the corner of his vision, and he jumped around, heart thumping against his ribs. But there was no one there, only Robert, still in bed and still out of it. His heart kept racing. Hey, Ted, it was just a picture. Get a grip. He took a step back towards the camp bed, and there was a loud thud as if from far away. It took a moment to realize he had dropped to the floor as the weight of the room pressed down on top of him. Had he eaten something? He couldn't be drunk. Had a nurse accidentally slipped him a pill, like Robert? A whimper broke from his throat. Help me, someone, help me. Red. Something in his vision was red. It was important. The thought forced itself through the fuzz that clogged his mind. The alarm cord, that was it. It dangled from the ceiling above his bed. He levered himself onto the bed and reached up, fingers brushing the handle at the end of the cord. And then the weight of his arm was too much, and it flopped down onto the bed beside him, and he felt himself shut down and tumble into the darkness. Remember, you can buy my books at www.benjeeps.com. See you next time.